A California King. I'm Rebecca Lieb.
I'm Jason Horton.
And this is Ghost Town.
On September 17th, 1859, several San Francisco newspapers printed the following. At the peremptory request and desire of a large majority of citizens, I, Joshua Norton, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of these United States. It was signed, Norton I, Emperor of the United States. We're talking about the first Emperor of the United States of America.
We're also talking about the last Emperor of the United States of America.
So far.
Okay.
This episode was brought to us by a listener.
Yay.
Which I was very excited about. And when Holly pitched it, it references California.
Yeah.
So you know I'm in.
You're
and
in.
you know me, when I see 1850s, that's more your world.
Yeah, I like the older the better for me in many respects.
I'm like kind of like a 20th century guy.
Yeah, that's true.
But this I thought was really interesting and something I didn't know about, and it kind of talked about California and in the United States. So it's, it was kind of checked off a few boxes. Plus, Holly did all the work.
Holly, bless you.
So really thankful to Holly. She wanted us to, I wanted to, but she has a charity. It's called Rainbow Railroad, which is rainbowrailroad.org. And her Instagram is instagram.com, HOLLYBERRIGRAM, Holly Berrygram.
Holly Berrygram.
So want to say thank you. And if you, a lot of people kind of pitch us stuff or send us bits of information, and that's great. If you, for some reason, have a personal connection to a story, or if you have a weird audio,
please,
or you want to type up the notes with the sources, that appeals to me.
Yeah, I mean, any range of work that you want to do, we'll gladly accept. Any degree.
And so this is probably, I think, the only second one. The last one we did was the Noid.
Yeah.
So we got some really, really great ones. And so thank you, Holly.
Yeah, thank you.
And I guess thank you to Norton I, Emperor of the United States. Something I had never heard. And I think it's recent enough that I can't believe we haven't talked about it.
This is why I want more people to write in, because it's like our scope, I feel like it's pretty large given, our own experience, etc. But like we there's some things that people have come out of the woodwork and told us about that I'm like, holy shit, what have I been doing without this information in my life?
Yeah, I get disappointed that I didn't know, but I'm always excited that there's something else. I mean, there's plenty that we don't know.
We know more than we don't know more than we do know.
Yeah.
For the most part, about pretty much everything we've talked about.
And also very bad at delivering that information.
Absolutely. Help.
So we're going to start off with, not much is known about the early life, but he was born in England around 1819 in the Kentish town of Deptford.
Oh.
So he's British, British. That's came over here and became emperor. You always hear about the unofficial mayor of the Sunset Strip.
Yeah, totally.
There's always those towns that have these unofficial historians or kind of people that are kind of represent that thing, and everyone is kind of like, oh, we love this. This is nice. Creates a lot of community. His family migrated to South Africa in the early 1820s as part of a colonization campaign scheme backed by the government. They were called the 1820 settlers.
That makes sense. That checks out.
In 1849, after the death of his parents, 30-year-old Norton moved to his future capital city of San Francisco.
Hell yeah.
With $40,000 on hand to help him start his business in California.
I mean, in the late 1800s to move to San Francisco, which was not very settled, with that much money, you're doing, you know what? You can be my king.
Even with the $40,000, you don't even need to adjust for inflation.
No, I won't. And you know what? Don't make me.
So with the money he saved up, Norton opened a real estate and import brokerage business, and by 1853 had acquired approximately $250,000.
Wow.
Interesting, powerful, successful person, despite the fact that during that time you could, because the West is still being settled.
Totally.
You always hear, I showed up, to the Panhandle with $3 and a knife.
Yeah. I was going to say mule, but knife is better.
But this guy was like, I'll show up for $40K.
I'm sure with $40K, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm going to make my money back and make more, and I'm going to start a new business. He has more qualifications than many of our presidents.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody that he probably should have just run in an election. He probably would have won.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess you have to be, I don't know if you have to be born in the United States for that to happen. To
no,
be president,
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Gosh. Not at that point? No.
I guess I don't know.
Well, real historians here, you heard it here first. We don't know. Something we could Google.
Uh-oh, here comes the financial ruin.
Oh,
sorry. Easy come, easy go, as they say. In December 1852, he thought he saw an opportunity in the Chinese ban of exporting rice, making the price skyrocket for the working Asian population in San Francisco, which is like a huge Asian population in San Francisco. So it's, kind of it goes back. He bought 200,000 pounds of rice that were returning from Peru for $25,000 and hoped to corner the market. Maybe savvy, but a little greedy, didn't diversify much. After he signed off on the rice, 2 more ships filled with the rice came into the port, which caused the price of rice to plummet to 3 cents a pound. It was 36 cents a pound at its highest price. So it's like dealing with stock markets or, supply and demand.
That was 1890s GameStop.
He filed for bankruptcy in 1858 with nothing to his name. He fell off the grid and vanished for a year until the decree in the papers in 1859. Some sources state that he disappeared at an earlier date in 1853. So he was like, I am making a comeback. Yeah.
He's regrouping for his comeback. New haircut, new suit.
He became known for patrolling around his empire, in quotes, donning a rumpled military jacket with shiny brass buttons, an ostrich feather plumed hat, and occasional military saber. His favorite hat to wear seemed to be a beaver hat. He was accompanied by 2 Mongol dogs named Bummer and Lazarus.
What a comeback. Really? What an auspicious comeback for our first king.
So he's pretty successful. He probably, took I don't know how that impacted him mentally, but it probably sent him a tiny bit spiraling.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
And he came back and kind of reinvented himself. He probably could have come back
as a lost boy.
I mean, in today's day, he'd be like, oh, I just will start like a wealth management company.
Yeah.
Or, I'll sell a guide to like how to get rich. Because I was rich once and probably could have been successful at it because obviously he made some right moves.
Yeah. I mean, he's more qualified to do get rich schemes than anyone I know who's done that.
Instead of sending Norton to an asylum and getting him evaluated, the people of San Francisco accepted the eccentric ex-merchant, greeting him with bows as he passed by on his royal walks. So
were they like, okay, we'll
humoring
indulge.
Him.
Yeah, we'll indulge.
I think they, found him, from what I was kind of looking when I was looking through this, didn't find him very threatening and was just an eccentric.
An eccentric in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Wow.
The first and last. He was also the first member of the Grateful Dead.
The end.
Thank you. They listed him in the city directory or the phone book.
All right.
As Norton, Joshua, parentheses, Emperor, DWL, Metropolitan Hotel.
And at what point it's like, does this kind of, complicitness become just a thing that gives you a certain amount of status,
Then came the murders.
Oh.
They gave him a place of honor at plays, concerts, public lectures, and other civic affairs.
I mean, it's like, this is truly fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and I think, it's, again, especially lately, we've told a lot of pretty dark stories.
Yeah.
Stories of failure and hurt and pain and suffering.
Cannibalism.
And all of that. And, sometimes you gotta, I don't know. Gotta change the levels up a little bit and just keep it always weird though. It's never not gonna be weird.
Always weird. Also, just this is truly the story of what America is about.
It is a cautionary tale, but not necessarily. The idea of, like you said, fake it till you make it, and what is a celebrity?
Yeah, and what is reinventing? That? Even at this, I don't think we think a lot about like the turn of the century, people reinventing themselves. But I love hearing stuff like that where it's like, everyone did. It was, a free-for-all still, and you could do whatever you wanted.
And he didn't ramp up to it. It's not like he kind of slowly, he was just like, hey, what's up? Here's my mongrel dogs.
It's like a light
Here's
switch.
my sword.
Yeah.
I am the Emperor of San Francisco.
And they're like, we'll put you in the phone book, I guess.
He got royal treatment. He was allowed to eat in the restaurants as a guest of the owners. They actually wanted him to be patronized. It probably became somewhat of a kind of like a nice, like an oddity, like an interesting oddity, like a celebrity that is, decided. Well, I mean, all celebrities are decided by the public in some way, right? But in this way, where he's like literally just like showed up and he's like, yeah. And they were like, cool, we want this.
The first influencer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
He actually invented flat tummy tea.
Oh, really? Vita gummy bears?
And they posted an imperial seal of approval that read, by appointment to His Imperial Majesty, Norton I. Transportation was free of charge for him. City provided an annual sum for the emperor's trappings.
Wow.
Take care of any of his needs.
What?
Any of his royalty. He was even allowed to issue bonds, collect taxes from his subjects
Oh my
or cash.
God. It's like money has become involved.
In his own currency. It was called scrip. Printed free of charge by local printers. So they printed like monopoly money.
Incredible.
In a sense. And they give it to people and they're like, oh, you got to make sure to give Emperor Norton his tithe.
By Vice or like a documentary should be made to redo this experience.
It's a reality show in a way. It's a social it definitely is a social experiment. Because he could just be like, oh hey, I just showed up and I was like, how people react.
Totally,
and
but everyone agreed simultaneously on it.
He reviewed the police to see if they were on duty. He checked progress on needed street repairs, inspected buildings that were under construction. So he kind of, looked over his kingdom.
Sure.
On October 12th, 1859, Norton declared fraud and corruption prevent a fair and public voice, in consequence of which we do hereby abolish Congress.
Well, now we're pushing it.
When the U.S. was on the brink of civil war in 1860, he announced that he had dissolved the Union altogether and replaced it with an absolute monarchy with himself at the helm. Okay?
Yeah.
When the French later invaded Mexico, he nurtured international relations by adding the honorific Protector of Mexico to the title. So now he's also the Protector of Mexico.
Just hanging out in San Francisco.
Much like the emperor, his dogs, who were doing a good job at keeping the rat population in check, became beloved to the public. Once, when a new dog catcher took Lazarus into custody by mistake, an angry mob voiced by vigorous protests causing city officials to quickly announce that the emperor's faithful dogs had free run of the city, though they preferred to stay close to the emperor.
Of course, just like any branch of government, stay close to its leader.
Norton once issued a proclamation to ensure that proper respect was paid to his beloved capital. Whoever after due and proper warning shall be heard to utter the abominable word Frisco shall be deemed guilty of high misdemeanor.
I don't like the word Frisco either.
Me neither.
I'm on
I never
board with
got
that.
it. Yeah.
It's stupid.
And I like somebody who is kind of in love with their city and respects their city and, won't tolerate lack of respect for the city.
Or a stupid name. Or like, have you ever heard a Los Angeles resident call LA 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 Land?
Just the movie I've watched 25 times.
That's right. Well, if we had an emperor, they wouldn't allow it.
No. But that emperor would be Ryan Gosling.
Hell yeah.
The penalty for noncompliance was $25. Many native San Franciscos to this day abide by it.
Did it? No. I want to check. Holly, I'm checking your sources.
I mean, listen, you don't really hear Frisco that much. I feel like I've seen like some TV shows and movies.
Yeah, you hear it in like a CCR song maybe once every year.
Emperor Norton once decreed, "It is now time for a break." Hi, hello, how are you?
Hello.
Are you well? Are you doing okay?
You're looking a little pale.
Yeah.
Do you want something to eat?
Yeah.
Go to your own fridge and get something out of it to eat.
Yeah, or eat a hamburger pizza like we did.
We're just a couple of middle-aged people eating hamburger pizzas. But I will say, in pizza news, can we take a pizza news break? Little Caesars just brought back the pretzel crust pizza, and it's still really good.
Yeah, that's not a sponsored,
No,
but we would.
Totally voluntary.
We absolutely would.
Oh, are you kidding me? I would kill for that sponsorship.
I want to say hello to all of the listeners. Hello, thank you for listening.
Hello.
All the patrons, Thank you so much.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. We've been getting some great feedback from a lot of patrons. It's great because, some people, just send a message and they're just like, oh, here's what I like and here's what I don't like. And, we got a lot of great feedback. Want to say hello to our government, which is our mayors. Two mayors right now.
Two mayors.
We have Ben Forsyth and we have Ashley Matson. And we are, I guess I call it hiring. We're have an opening for a governor for the first time in many months. Former Governor Chris Witt, who is still in the family.
Still absolutely in the
we're
family.
Stuck together. We're
He's a
all
part
stuck.
of us. We're a part of him.
We're stuck, baby.
We get that there's responsibilities outside of Ghost Town. We get it.
How is having a new child how is that?
Ghost Town is your child.
Yeah.
What about us?
You have
Don't leave us in the crib.
You have two adults to raise here. But we can only have one governor at a time, and this is the first time it's been vacant.
I know.
It actually was only vacant for about 10 minutes when we first announced it, so it's never...
I feel very vulnerable.
So if you feel like you got what it takes, check out patreon.com/ghosttownpod for bonus episodes, early access with no ads, and a bonus episode is out right now. I will put a link in the description if it's out, which I think it should be, but I did an episode of something called LA Unscripted on KTLA, which is a pretty big news. It's a big LA news station, right?
Our news station. I mean, talk about like LA, giant city. Like this is the station there, and Jason was there talking about the Los Feliz abandoned zoo. Right?
The old LA Zoo. Went to Hotel Cecil, which was interesting to go. Even during the day, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's a rough. We tried to even go around the back, and there was people. Yeah, it's hard to get back there. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
but been donating to the Skid Row Housing Trust, and that documentary just reminds the Hotel Cecil reminds anybody that how rough it is out there, and it hasn't really been getting any better.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. Yeah. So, but it's LA Unscripted. So we talked about the book that I put out, and Rebecca did the forward for, and of course talked about Ghost Town. So if you want to see Ghost Town represented, the link should be in there, and you can check it out. And I've always wanted to be on KTLA.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, this is the most legitimate I think we've ever done collectively.
Yeah, it's a pretty,
I don't know,
a pretty big I mean, I've always been like, I want to be on. Just think about your local big. I only know the ones like in New York, really, but like any local, your local big news thing, and to be on that is.
Yeah, I mean, you don't understand. We sit here in this tiny room recording this every Sunday. It's not glamorous. So to be on TV and to be talking about stuff that you love, that I love, that hopefully you're listening and love is incredible.
And now for everyone's favorite part, the part that they love the most, that you could absolutely avoid if you are a patron.
That's right.
And I think that's what drives people to the patronage.
Yes.
Is the Apple podcast reviews. Thank you for anyone who's previously reviewed or thought about reviewing or left a review. We do take a beating, but we appreciate the little wins, the tiny little wins. Yeah. Gets me through work. I work in construction. Yeah, we get what you think is just a bunch of intellectuals.
Elitists?
Yeah, is that what you think?
No.
People putting up drywall.
With real skill sets.
Yeah.
Say real fucking skill sets.
Yes. I want to learn how to tile, so in case I need employment, I can.
I couldn't even do that. Like,
I've refinished some chairs, but that took. I mean, I had to learn. I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I just wanted to do it. I refinished and stained some chairs. I work in construction. I listen to your show all day. Best part of my day. Love the energy you guys have and love the crazy topics. Any topics like the Army's potential zombie invasion, which is talked about that recently, and alien invasion plans might be interesting. Much love. Keep up the great work. Your Irish fan, Rick.
And Irish?
Barbarian Grieve from Great Britain.
Amazing.
Oh, fancy. I don't understand the hate. I do understand it, but I'm glad you don't. I actually do understand it.
I like how a lot of the ones you read are like, give these poor people a break. They're just stupid fucking chumps. Yeah, they're fucking losers. Will you lay off these losers?
You know what? We're the Emperor Norton of this podcast, and these people are like, "Oh yeah, here's your fake money."
Yeah, exactly. Let him into the restaurant,
and I'll take it. We'll take it. You think we won't take it?
I will gobble it up.
Yeah, we have no dignity. Okay. Obvi episodes in the beginning of a podcast can be rocky. The show is really improved. We stand the hosts. They're funny and have good chemistry, and they really don't do much banter. Like skip the little midway chit chat break, and has 4 or 5 question marks. So that is from Cranberry Juice from the US and A.
Wow.
One more. Love the podcast. I'm a really huge fan of this podcast. Absolutely love it. I think people need to back off about the Canada bashing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Jason's married to a Canadian.
Yeah.
He's an ally.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, we made one episode or maybe 2 referencing Canada, and all we did was talk about the poor behavior of a murderer, right? I don't understand.
Literally. Also, we do a lot about Canada and Canadians in a very positive light.
Yeah, I don't know.
If this would have been in America, it would have been bad news.
Yeah. Rebecca was making a good point on how Canada wasn't a utopia. As a Canadian, I say the same thing. I get so tired of people saying how amazing Canada is and how nothing ever happens here. I mean, Canada is amazing. It truly is. But we have our problems and crazy things happen.
Hey, Canadians out there, did you know I worked on a Canadian TV show in 2013?
Oh.
Yeah, it was called Package Deal on City TV. It was not...
Say something good. Say something nice.
God. Let's keep moving.
We're not in Canada. We're in the USA.
Frisco.
No, $25. So back to the Emperor of San Francisco and the Protector of Mexico. In 1869, he shared an unusual amount of foresight when he ordered a bridge built across the San Francisco Bay. At the time, people laughed at his ridiculous proposal, but approximately 60 years later, the Oakland-San Francisco Bay Bridge became a reality. So he was like, we need a bridge to, connect.
Yeah.
People are like, yeah, whatever.
And 60 years after that, one of my favorite documentaries came out, The Bridge, about the suicide off of the Bay Bridge. Yeah. Incredible.
But also, it's also good for cars driving across.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not just for...
Well, not so fast.
It's not just for documentaries.
Let's just wait it out. Give it a little more time.
Today, a plaque honors the emperor's wisdom. Pause, traveler, and be grateful to Norton I, whose prophetic wisdom conceived and decreed the bridging of the San Francisco Bay. So, honestly, this person, this dude seems like he was pretty savvy. He was obviously understood business, and he kind of had a vision, I suppose, and an investment in a city, which I think is really great.
Yeah, I mean, and radical ideas that seem preposterous at the time. I mean, times change and things change, and I think even like getting ideas out there or feeling like someone is fringe, like that isn't marginalized for long. Sometimes it becomes a part of the general population and belief system.
His love and concern for San Francisco did not prevent him from trying to be involved in the national scene. His Royal Majesty soon tired of all the political mudslinging and decided to put an end by issuing another of his famous proclamations in the San Francisco Herald on August 4th, 1869.
Amazing.
Being desirous of allaying the dissensions of party strife now existing within our realm, I do hereby dissolve and abolish the Democratic and Republican parties, and also do hereby decree this disenfranchisement and imprisonment for not more than 10 nor less than 5 years to all persons leading to any violation. This is our imperial decree. So he was not into political parties, which, depending on who you ask, like, it's a pretty hip notion, at least these days. You know what I mean? People,
totally.
Like the idea of parties or not enough parties and a third party or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
Norton ruled his kingdom by proclamations, but he was not above dealing directly with the problems and issuing required attention. During one of the typical anti-Chinese demonstrations that were common at the time, the emperor gave populace a lesson in the practical application of civics and prayer. Sensing the dangerously heated tone of this particular meeting, he was reported to have stood up before the group, bowed his head, and began reciting the Lord's Prayer. Within a few minutes, the agitators retreated in shame without putting any of their threats into action. The emperor had a fluctuating position on equal rights for women. In October 1878, he petitioned the California Constitutional Convention for calling for an amendment to an October 1878 petition to the California Constitutional Convention calling for an amendment that no citizens of the state shall be disenfranchised on the account of sex, had Norton, the first emperor, among their signatures. Progressive.
That's good. And also, as an emperor, like, prayer's cool. Like, it's not like our government system, separation of church and state. No, you can pray away.
However, Norton drew a thin line around a woman's role. When the emperor came to hear noted leader of the movement's lecture on women's rights, for example, it seemed to an order for the master of ceremonies to introduce Norton and suggest that he step on the stage before the guest speaker and receive the greetings of his subjects. He told the women present to go home and mind their children.
Conflicting ideologies from our emperor.
But for 1878, and considering the somewhat progressive,
Yeah, for the time, incredibly progressive. And I don't know if I mentioned this last episode, but I watched The Nick, like I just binge, which is around this time, and just brutal politics, horrible treatment of women. I know it's not totally reflective of history, but this is very progressive, very, very good emperor.
But the emperor's reign would come to an end.
No.
Sadly, the reign of the benevolent emperor would soon come to an end. On January 8th, 1880, during one of his usual patrols, Emperor Norton dropped dead on the street. The coroner stated he died of apoplexy. If that's a broken heart?
Yeah, that's, I'm a doctor.
Okay.
So
San Francisco mourned the death of their monarch. The Chronicle gave Norton I a send-off fit for an emperor. It says, "The king is dead. He is dead," lamented another paper, "and no citizens of San Francisco can be taken away who would be more missed." His passing inspired dozens of comments in newspapers, including the New York Times.
All right.
So it reached.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, no KTLA, but...
It's not KTLA.
But it's New York Times.
Yeah.
A few days later, flags were hung in half-mast. Business closed out of respect. The funeral arrangements were very elaborate, and there was this is a huge range, from 10,000 and 60,000 people were there to pay their respects.
Anywhere from 10,000 to 60,000. In the range of these two numbers.
Of -6 to 4 billion.
Exactly. Okay. I believe it.
He was laid to rest in the Masonic cemetery paid for by the wealthier citizens of his kingdom. In 1934, his remains had to be moved to Woodlawn Cemetery. His tombstone reads, "Norton I, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, Joshua A. Norton, 1819 to 1880. I'd like to visit that next time I go to San Francisco.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never heard about that. I also feel like, I can't believe someone didn't take on the next role, like public role, unless you're going to say that right now.
I'm assuming also times have changed a little bit, post-Civil War, now we're going to, the Industrial Revolution, right? Isn't that around that? I feel like things are changing where people are things more...
are changing.
Is it a changing of the guard? Mm-hmm. Today, there is a plaque dedicated to the emperor at the Transbay Terminal, but in 2020, it was vandalized and a new home for the plaque is pending. In 2013, Jose Sarria, a legend in the San Francisco drag scene, died. He had proclaimed himself Her Royal Majesty, Empress of San Francisco, Jose I, the Widow Norton. He's buried right beside the emperor at Woodlawn Cemetery, which I think is really nice.
Yeah,
very sweet.
I don't know if the original emperor would have been okay with that.
You know what though? If I had to, adjust for inflation, I think he might have been. He might have been okay with that.
Oh, how many people attended that? 20 or 4 billion?
311.